Hafaday, and welcome to the special anniversary episode of My Story. I'm Janella Carrera, your host for this evening. It's been exactly a year since the first episode of My Story debuted on our Sorensen Media Group television stations, and through that first year, we've heard stories of numerous cancer warriors, survivors, and family members. Some of the stories were triumphant, while others were ongoing. Some we lost. Either way the stories went, the show and the people we have talked with shared their experiences and offered up advice on how to prevent getting diagnosed with cancer. This show has truly brought to light the reality of cancer and how it affects those we know and love. In this special episode, we will catch up with 3 individuals who had previously been on the show over the past year. So sit back and let's hear their continuing stories. Caroline, welcome back to My Story. I know it's been about almost a year since you appeared on My Story. And so this reunion episode, we're kind of just, talking to everybody who's been on the show, see what life's been like over the last year. And I understand you were diagnosed with thyroid cancer about 5-6 years ago.
Yes.
And you're in remission.
Yes.
Okay,
Yay.
Tell us about that. What it's like to be in remission. It
feels good. Actually, every day now it's a blessing. Mm-hmm. It's changed. My life has changed a lot. So my lifestyle has changed. Of course, it's always in the back of my head. Once you get cancer,
right?
It's always going to be there. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go for a checkup. Mm-hmm. What if the doctor says, we got some news? Other than that. I started running.
Oh, great.
Yes, I started running. I love it. I'm addicted to it. And my husband Vince like, where are you going at 5 o'clock in the morning? I'm going running. So I try to eat better. Because living on Guam is kind of difficult. Mm-hmm. And eating is one of the pleasures of life. So, I occasionally will have that cake and cookie and stuff like that. But it's a blessing. I have friends who actually have cancer.
Oh, wow.
So it's hard to see them go through that, and the only thing is I have no answers when they ask me, how did you survive?
Yeah.
So I tell them, I said, what, it's your faith, it's your support group, it's cancer care. Mm-hmm. So it's been 1 year I've been really blessed.
Yeah. Well, when you were after you got your clearance,
right.
for being in remission.
Right.
What changed? Did you have to continue to go see your physician for checkups, or was it more like, well, you're in remission, let's take a little bit slow now. You don't have to come back for, a number of other years. How does that change?
Well, my doctor, FHP, he actually said, Carolyn, we don't have to see you anymore. You know your body, any changes, any concerns, feel free to come back and see me. Mm-hmm. So I said, okay, doc, no problem.
But does that scare you?
Kinda, it
we
does.
Don't have to see you.
Yeah, it does, kinda. But it's been good, and I just pray every day that I'm going to be okay.
Yeah. When you were diagnosed, or right before you were diagnosed, what were some of the symptoms or signs, if any, that you felt?
No symptoms.
Oh, wow.
No symptoms. I actually, 2000, I forget what year that was, where we were having the, I don't know if it was the SARS or the other
I think I know what you're talking
outbreak.
about. Yes, it was the swine flu.
Right. Okay. So we were staying over at Ohana Ocean View because he was the general manager for Ocean View, and we would have a lot of tourists come in, and tourists could be Japanese, Korean, and they would be wearing the mask. Mm-hmm. So it kind of scared me. And one day I woke up with a cold, and I was like, oh, I have a cold. Maybe I should go check. Because I have a niece, my sister's daughter, who had the swine flu in the States.
Oh.
And she was pregnant.
Oh, wow.
So, having to know that kind of scared me. Mm-hmm. So I went into the clinic, and I saw an urgent care doctor, and he goes, "Why are you here?" I said, "Well, I have a cold, and I just want to make sure that it's not the swine flu." So he goes, "Okay, sure, let's go ahead and check you and stuff like that." So he went through the temperature, the blood pressure and stuff, and then he kind of felt my neck, and he goes, "Did you ever notice that your neck is kind of big on one side?" I said, "No, I thought I was just a Chamorro person that, they always, how they joke around about, Chamorro people, they got big neck, all that stuff." So I was like laughing, I was giggling, I was like, "No, I never noticed that." So he did the physical, and then he found it.
Oh, wow.
And then from that time, he goes, "Okay, in 2 days, I'm going to go ahead and schedule you for an ultrasound." So he did, and that's how they found it.
I see.
Yeah, so none of my family, there was no history whatsoever of cancer. It's always hypertension and diabetes. That's it.
The things that are very common here.
Common,
Wow.
yes,
Wow.
yes, yeah.
So now that you know, I mean, at the time you didn't know because you thought it was just, just something common.
It's just something that we always joke around because,
Yeah.
No.
But now that you know, do you check for it? Do you, feel your? I mean, they're all gone.
Constantly.
You had them removed, as I understand.
I had the whole thing removed, plus 10 of my lymph nodes, just for safety, just for precaution. So, but you will catch me throughout the day going like this.
Wow.
So, but other than that, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the last year, compared to the past 5 or 6 years from when you were diagnosed, in the last year since you appeared on our show, and then getting the good news that you're now in remission, what can you tell people who may be going through something like this, or who may have family members who are going through something like this? What is the one thing that you learned through all of this?
I always tell them, I would have, and since I was featured in My Story last year, believe it or not, I have people who recognize me.
Oh, wow.
They'll come up to me and goes, you're the one in the My Story. I said, yes, I am. He goes, oh, you are an inspiration to me. I said, oh, really? She goes, yeah, I'm battling breast cancer. So, she'll look at me and she goes, but you look so healthy. And I said, you know what, ma'am, it's got to do with the faith. And to be honest with you, okay, I'm born Catholic. I am Catholic. And sometimes, and I would tell my husband Vincent, I say, we need to go to church, and but I do pray. So I told her, I said, your faith is the number one. Support from your family and friends, that will get you through the darkest moments of your life. And basically just doing your checkups. Go and check. I mean, your body. If you feel like something's not right, I mean, the cancer prevention is getting a checkup every year. Doing that periodically, because it's better to catch it earlier than later. So it's good. I mean, just take care of yourself.
Yeah. I know you said you run now.
I run now, and my husband calls me crazy because he goes, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm running." He goes, "Oh my gosh!" So I try to do 10 to 16 miles a week.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I'm addicted to it.
That's great. That's great. So, how does it make you feel? Being more physically fit, and I know you said you're trying to eat healthier.
Yeah.
Physically, how does it feel for you?
It feels good because then I'm actually doing something for me, and it makes me feel like I can, things can come to me and I can just say, okay, let's take care of it.
Yeah.
So.
Any last thoughts you want to share? I know a lot of people, there's this kind of negative thought about cancer, but through so many people who have been through it, there's proof that there's hope out there.
Oh yeah, I mean, when you hear cancer, just like when I first heard I had cancer, to be honest with you, I was already writing my obituary.
Wow.
Because once you hear cancer, you automatically think of death. And I would sit down there on my alone time, when I'm alone by myself, and I would, okay, this is what I want them to say. This is the song I want. This is the dress. This is the color. But you can't think that way. You got to say to yourself, I'm going to beat this. I'm going to beat this as best as I can. And with my family and my friends and my faith, I can overcome this. But don't give up, because, it's you, and it's hard though, but yeah, you got to really think about surviving is what I say. Yeah.
And you did, and you're here. So.
Yes, I'm really happy.
All right, well, thank you so much, Caroline, for sharing with us your story here on My Story. Later on in the show, as you know, we'll be joined by other survivors, and we'll kind of just have a little chat amongst ourselves. But for now, we're going to sit down with Cynthia Kintel. Coming up next, she is a survivor of nasal pharyngeal cancer. Cynthia, thank you for joining us again on My Story. And I know I just interviewed you a few weeks ago.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
So it's been about a year since you were on the show.
Yes, ma'am. That's correct.
And you were battling nasal pharyngeal cancer.
That's correct. Yes,
but when you were here on the show with us, you were kind of just fresh from having some treatment done.
Yes, ma'am. It was kind of that way, yeah.
So it's been about a year since. Tell us what's been going on with you.
Well, my husband and I decided to do a health care package at the Westin and do the gym thing.
Okay.
So we've been on it for a year, although we've been skipping, but it's been like off and on. I try and get on the treadmill at least 1 hour, whether first thing in the morning or try and meet with my husband after work.
Okay.
And we go and hit the gym.
Okay.
Other than that, health-wise, I kind of can't gain weight because apparently it will result, according to my oncologist for chemo, it will result in the cancer coming back.
Oh, wow.
Yes, ma'am. So she's very strict about me gaining weight.
Wow. That must be really tough.
Yes, ma'am. So
Did she say why the weight is a huge factor
Yes, ma'am.
in it possibly coming back?
Yes, she mentioned that because of my condition, I'm not only a cancer survivor, but I have prior health issues like diabetes
I see.
or hypertension.
Right.
So these are the things, when you have those kinds of illnesses and just coming off of cancer treatment, it's sort of like an impact when you lost all that weight after chemo and radiation and you like drop that weight and come back eating what you're not supposed to. And then, of course, the weight gain comes in, and then it sort of hits all the medications you've taken over chemo and radiation and just restart something.
Right,
Something's going to happen.
So it's kind of like a combination of all these things just makes that risk even higher for
That's
you.
correct. That's
I
right.
see. Well, knowing that you have to maintain your diet, a healthy lifestyle, what are some of the things, I know you said it's on and off, but what are some of the things that maybe you and your husband or your family are trying to do to ensure that you stay on track?
Well, aside from not currently working, I try and volunteer back at the law firm and try and attend my son's soccer games or try and get out of the house if I'm not done doing housework.
Yeah.
I did at one point run, like Carol mentioned, she meet some people that would say, "Hey, I saw you in My Story," and they just like, "Oh, I seen you in My Story," and I was like, "You look great," and "Oh, thank you. And are you a cancer?" I'd ask, "Are you a cancer survivor?" And she goes, "No, but I had family who were." I'm like, "Well, it's very nice to know. Are they alive? For me, I'm sort of, I don't even know how to answer this question. I'm sort of, where I'm at now, I'm living day to day.
Right.
I'm living to the best that I can after doing regular chores at home and just doing mundane things. I'm down to earth. I'll do what I need to do to get through the day.
And it's only been about a year since you were receiving treatment.
Yes, ma'am.
I know it takes time to kind of
adjust
and get back to normal.
Normalcy.
Yeah.
That is the key word. Where do you go?
On a scale of, maybe 1 to 10 or percentage-wise, how do you feel? Like, where are you now?
Well, let me see. I'm not lifting because of my hands and my feet. They're still numb. I have this really bad ringing in my ear because of the cancer. But I wouldn't know. I'd say I can't do a lot of strenuous things, but how'd you say? I'm kind of doing okay. I mean, I can be better, but I'm doing okay.
But it's different for everybody.
Everybody has a different case, and I believe with me, just living day to day is a wonderful thing. It's a blessing. Yeah.
It helps you get through it, knowing that you wake up the next day
and I'm alive.
It's a new day.
It's a brand new day. Yeah. So we make adventures of it. I do at least. Yeah. Like, what am I going to do today? Oh, I'm going to do an errand. I'm going to go pay some bills. Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah. So physically, you're still kind of getting the feeling back on your hands. Mentally, you're also trying to take it day by day.
Yes, ma'am.
What about in terms of emotionally or even spiritually?
As far as my faith, I believe everyone has their practice and means of faith, but God is everywhere. I'm sorry. If I'm in my car and I'm suffering, or just in that moment of a mental breakdown, or something to the point where I'm going to cry, I turn to Him. I turn to things that physically hurt me, or what was orally said to me, and I take them and I try and refresh it, hit the refresh button, and pray over it, and hopefully God will guide me in a sense where I'm not going crazy. I just need a refreshment of what I'm supposed to do or say, health-wise, spiritually. Emotionally, you can only keep it together for so long. Right. But when you're in a room with other persons with certain matters or issues, it's best you listen and sort of have a balance or some type of, connection, and see what clicks, how we can help each other to formulate some type of, not grand plan, but just to help each other through the moment of their hard time or whatever.
So it helps having people around you.
Oh yeah, the family. Family. My husband works. Like I mentioned, he works. My son, he lives out of the home, so he's on his little world. But when we need each other, we make the time. And my moments when I need my husband is when he's at work. So, it's like, I text you or something and say, hey, honey, don't forget this. Or, how's your day? Or, did you have your coffee? And he's very busy. He's a busy guy. Mechanics are not, they're not the fastest typers. They're digit typers. So I kind of admire my husband for that.
That's great. Well, I know you said you're not working right now.
Oh yes, I'm not.
But you do have plans, you are doing things.
I'm trying to think about going back to university to complete a master's degree, but I'm sort of should I wait till I'm 55 when it's free, or should I, just hang tight and just wait? Because it's the 1 credit hour, I believe, is $271.
Oh wow.
Yeah, one.
And that's hard when you're not working.
Yeah, that's hard when you're not working.
I feel you. That is quite a
crazy
dilemma. Do I go back
to school? Do I go back to school, pay?
Yeah, right. Or do I wait? Yeah. That's true. That's a good question.
Yes, ma'am. So, everything costs money. It's like, say, I don't want to have money to go out my front door and say hello to my sunshine. I don't need to pay something to get something. Right. If I can... We were talking about chicken eggs, Carol. So like, if my husband has chicken or hens out there laying eggs, I still won't eat. Sorry. But anyways, go ahead. Sorry, Janella.
It's always a pleasure having you on our show, and thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Thank
once
you.
Again.
Yeah, thank you very much.
We wish you all the best, of course.
Thank you, Ms. Janella.
Right. And as you know, after a few moments, you'll be joined by others as well on the show, and we'll just kind of have a little chat, kind of group chat.
Yes, sir.
Talk about life and all of that. But coming up next, we have widower Richard Duenas. We'll be chatting with him about what he's been doing over the last year as well. Welcome back to My Story. I'm your host, Janella Carrera. Joining us now is Richard Duenas. Richard Duenas' wife was on our show last year, Julie Duenas.
Yes.
And so you're here now because Julie, she passed away last year.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, she passed away, and she passed away right before her episode aired.
Got the word that it was going to air late September. Usually, on the rotation of the month, in early September, and then,
it happened.
She got her calling on the 21st, almost like a week.
Almost exactly a week.
Before her show aired.
And knowing that, she's going to be on TV, and she's already passed away, did you and your family still watch the episode the night it aired?
Most of us did, but then they were able to make a point to watch it on the repeat and everything like that.
But you saw it the night it aired?
Then, no, I had to watch it in the repeat. It was just too soon and everything like that.
It was just too soon,
Yeah.
But when you did finally get to see her episode,
first thing, she's alive there.
It looks,
And just one of those brief moments to remember. But then,
eventually. What has it been like, on our show we have survivors, we have warriors who are currently battling. And now, we have someone who's a widower. What has it been like for you and your family?
One thing she taught me was not only with cancer, you just got to be strong, live life, every day. Not to say as if it's your last. Just keep busy, Like a lot of people would say, have faith in God and love, and keep the ones you love close.
Was she going through treatment at the time that
yes,
she was being
She was.
She was, okay. And what stage was she at when they found the...
Metastatic was what she had. And during the time of the interview, I could say that, she was a warrior. She battled it for 3 years.
Oh, wow, that long.
Yeah, she had stage 2 and finished treatment, and that was in 2013, real quick. And then after a year after her treatment stopped, she had like a cough. Thought it was, like a cold or whatever, but it kind of bothered her. Went to GMH, gave her flu medicine, didn't help, cough got worse. So we went second opinion, and she had to sit there for the second time and say, oh man.
Go through it again.
You have cancer. So to go through it twice, the second time we were prepared, but, as it led up to her passing, it just was a little bit harder.
When was so she passed away in September.
Right.
When did she get the second diagnosis?
I believe it was September 19th of 2014.
So the year before?
About a year into, come to think of it, after, during the funeral and services, everything, my mother-in-law brought it up that, you know what? Yeah, she survived a year with the metastatic and all that treatment.
So she was diagnosed in 2013. She went through the treatment, and then found out she...
In
It came back.
14, it came back.
It came back. Wow.
Just when she was picking up and she actually started working and everything like that. So I thought it was the work that did it to her, that gave her like once again, we thought it was the flu and pneumonia, but nothing was helping, you know. So that second opinion came with the news, and shocking at first, but you know, the outlook was we beat it the first time, we can beat it again.
We can beat it the second.
But it's just, I guess, you know, fought it as long as she could, and kept her smile though, seriously.
That's
kept
great.
All the way up until, you know.
Share with us some of the things that she, you know, in her final days, some of the outlooks she had in life, and some of her final words with you and your family.
It's so eerie for me in some sense, because I didn't even realize it the month before she passed, until a couple of months after, that she was actually preparing for it.
Wow.
2 weeks before we brought her home, she was already saying some sort of goodbyes to certain family members.
Was she predicting that it was her
No,
time?
she was literally saying that, you know, I'm tired.
Oh, wow.
Another comment I was told that, you know, didn't want to leave me.
Yeah.
And all that. So I could say maybe about a week and a half to 2 weeks before her passing, I literally had to sit down with her and say, let's prepare. And if you see God, just wave at me goodbye and just go in a better place.
Yeah.
You know, it's time.
Yeah.
So, you know, in some sense, sometimes it's I admire that she was even able to prepare herself up until the end.
Yeah. She was prepared for it. And
Yeah.
she wasn't afraid.
No, just biggest concern is comfort. You know, the comfort.
I know that you had mentioned that, you know, in your family, you guys went through a tough time. You had a difficult year.
2015 was rough.
Yeah, it was a very rough year for you
Yeah.
guys. The grieving process, you know, it's still kind of fresh. She just passed away about 8 months ago. Tell us about that process now, where you're at now.
When it comes to the grieving, preparing, first of all, up until she passed was helped a little bit. Of course, losing her leaving was hard. But on my side, you know, before she got too sick to do anything, we both dealt with other family members that actually lost their battle with cancer. I had a brother, late February, early April. We just did his anniversary. And then this month I have an auntie, and being that they had cancer, she, whether in wheelchair or sick, made efforts to do something or help out and all that, and then her. So in the morning, it's just like I was just on a break, and then back on play. But now it's for me to deal with, you know. And then why I say it's a bad year is because after her, I had a couple of other, you know,
relatives
with the cancer related, you know.
Wow.
So.
What's that like, getting through all of that?
Well, I kept the family close. So we're still in tabs and everything like that. It's just dealing with the issue of, you know, laying them to rest and stuff like that. Not to say it's like, okay, we're at it again.
Right.
You know, there is that sense like, when are we going to get a break, you know? And I mean, at one time, I'm like, please, you know, give us December, Lord, you know. Can we have a break on that, you know? You did, and something happened in January. We had to actually bury my stepfather, my father-in-law, her father.
Her stepdad. Wow. Well, if there's anything that you know, take away from this experience, losing someone so close to you as your wife, you know, what are some of the things that you would say to other people who might be experiencing something similar?
Just love every moment, and family, friends, love them every day if you can. You know, we can avoid knowing that we have a time limit, and it's just so unfortunate that some of us get called early. So preparing for that, you know, just gotta enjoy one life and the people you're with. as much as you can, whether it be every month because they're off island on a phone call, a simple phone call, or every minute because they're there with you. Because when the time comes, the time comes. And, you know, like my year with my family members, everything from my brother, auntie, down to my wife, it, you know.
Really took a toll. Yeah.
You know.
All right. Well,
Saying I love you means a lot more now to everyone and anyone close to me. So, you know.
well, thank you so much for joining us and sharing. I know it's very difficult, but sharing that story with us, you know, I can just imagine where you're coming from. So, I really appreciate your time here. We'll be back with a couple other survivors here to talk more about, you know, the 1 year since you guys came on our show. But we'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to My Story. I'm your host, Janella Carrera, and joining us is Richard Duenas, Caroline Cruz, and Cynthia Kintle. Thank you guys, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on My Story. You know, as people who are kind of in that community where you're both survivors, you have family members and your wife who suffered from cancer. What is it like being kind of, you know, part of your own, I don't know how you would call it, kind of like your own group? You know, I noticed just hanging out here, you guys kind of have this connection, and it's kind of unique. And I can tell, I can see it. Tell us about that. Who would like to? Richard?
I'm thinking when you get told that your life is on a time limit, you know, you enjoy every moment, and when you have to deal with that with a big part of your life, and then you meet someone that's going through it, there should be an automatic connection.
Yeah.
You know, I'm related to you in some way, and with what we've gone through. How to preach and how to go through it is something that we can't say, but been there, done that, so you're like my best friend. So.
Yeah. When you meet others out there who have either been or have had cancer or have had very close family members who have had cancer, do you feel a sense of connection immediately?
I do.
Yeah, tell us about that.
You know, I work, I'm actually a floor manager for a department store. And, you know, it's just, I wouldn't say it was funny, but every day they would come in, and we specialize like in white shirts, black pants, and stuff like that. So they know our store is a funeral store.
Oh.
So anyways, they would come in and they would, you know, they would ask, I need this, this, and this. And I said, oh, okay. He goes, oh, and they would just open up to me and say, you know, my mom, she has a cancer. So I was like, oh, you know, I'm really sorry about that. You know, I'm really sorry. And they would tell me their story and they'd start crying.
Oh.
You know, and for me, having cancer and surviving cancer, there's a connection there because I know exactly what they went through. Watching my husband and my kids and my family go through that, you know, so it's a really strong connection and very humbling to know that you give the support. I mean, we're strangers, but for them to cry, for me to just hold them, that's all they wanted was the support. So yeah.
Yeah. And Cynthia, I know that you're one of the more recent cases. You were just diagnosed in Christmas time 2014. Have you come across people who have also, you know, been through cancer?
Oh, yes, ma'am. As a matter of fact, most recently, my sister-in-law's cousin was diagnosed with stage 4 nasopharyngeal, as well as a couple people down their area, Mong. So the gentleman also was diagnosed with nasopharyngeal. So I think nasopharyngeal is becoming more popular,
More common,
but it is a curable disease. And I told my sister-in-law to be brave. For me, if I can't communicate with her cousins, to tell her, be strong, have faith. If there's anything I can do for her, I'll hold her hand. I'll take her to radiation. If she needs a ride, I'll take her to chemo. I've been there, yes, and I will do it again, just to make sure they get there and get their treatment. It is costly, but there's agencies out there. We miss our Guam Cancer people, care people, and the Edward Cancer Foundation. They're out there. They're willing to help you. If you have financial issues, I'm sure they can connect with you too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're not alone financially. You're not alone spiritually. God is everywhere. Take your faith and just dive into it and believe in Him, because if you go in positive, with a positive attitude, you will come out a survivor. And that was the most important thing I tried to tell my sister-in-law. She's losing her hair, her cousin is, right now. And it's only been a month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
She was mentioning something about her support with her husband. One thing I learned early on, when they started doing the function before Relay for Life, where they would even have this one section for caregivers. You know, shout outs to the caregivers too.
Right.
They go through it, you know,
Yes.
and I think the extra burden on my part, and I know a lot of them would agree with me, is to really sit there helpless in so many sense, praying for some sort of answer, and what to do in any aspect of what we're going through. They're going through the trials, and we're there witnessing it in so many sense. I mean, there's, like you said, take them to their, you know, I don't want to take my pills. I mean, there's times that, you know, in the opposite sense, that the reactions that they would get from chemo or whatever, you know, they tend to be, you know, hard to work with, but with a strong face and everything, we just got to be there and push through. And, you know, after my wife passing, I met up with my neighbor whose wife also, and it's like the language that we would talk. It's not to say it's a different language compared to the ones that have the cancer, but you know, this time, and he would like really tear up. I almost gave up. Wow. How did you go through it? Wow. And these are the caregivers. You know, I'm not saying that we're not recognized, you know, but you know, we are in the background.
Right. Yes.
You know?
But caregivers also need that support as well.
And that's where we get the added support from our family, you know, and everything. But
so really, it's someone being diagnosed with cancer. It's obviously the person who gets the diagnosis, but it's really the family that suffers. Everyone.
It's all around.
Yeah, and I know your husband has been supportive. You know,
Day one. Day one, he's my rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Oh wow.
When she was interviewed, so, but you know, these are warriors. You know, these survivors and everyone out there going through this. I've seen it. My respect and admiration to all of them. And then
You mentioned your neighbor. You know, his wife had also gone through it.
she battled it for 10 years.
Wow.
Recently passed though. A week after my brother's anniversary, going back to my bad year, but she battled it for 10 years.
Wow, that's incredible.
And then like how you say that we all clicked, she would look out to try and make a visit to my wife while she was alive. And then my wife would try and go, and it's like, okay, we have to. You know, it's more important than checking Pari and Mali because, you know, there's a barbecue. Gotta see her, and everything. So that there, it.
Did it feel better for you though? I mean, you know, because I know some people when they go through these kinds of experiences, they sometimes tend to feel alone, you know. But knowing that there was someone there who was experiencing something similar, did it help in your cases? Knowing that there was someone there who understood you, who could be there for you, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the torch got passed, like how she said that, you know, someone that's just going through it cried on her shoulder, you know. In my experience, my brother got diagnosed after my wife, but he found out too late, and then my wife the second time, but he's calling her. Not me, my brother, not me, he's calling her.
Wow.
What happened here? Which clinic? what is this? What is that? So, you know, they're going back to the connection or the click, how you want to say it. You know, it's there.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, I can tell just by seeing the three of you in this room, and as well as your husband being here, and your daughter. I can see the dynamic, and it's pretty amazing to watch. You know, just seeing the two of you laugh at each other's jokes. So, well, thank you guys so much again for joining us on this episode of our reunion episode.
Yes.
It's really truly an honor to hear your
you.
stories and to be able to share it with the community. So we really appreciate all of that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, we'll be right back after this. Today, welcome back to My Story. I'm your host, Janella Carrera. Welcome back again, ladies and gentlemen, and your support group who's also joining us. When we were in commercial break, we were talking about, when you guys received the news. I know for Julie, she received it twice.
Yeah.
Tell us about the first and the second time, any of the differences or even similarities.
No, what sparked the conversation on that is I just wondered the expression that the physician had when we got the news or when they got the news. And I guess we all agreed that it was stone-faced. News came out, straight out, not beating around the bush. Yeah. And the biggest complaint with a lot of the cancer, the ones going through it, was how it was given. Yeah. I think you were even saying you had yours on the phone.
Yeah, you received it through a phone call. I mean, typically, when I hear about people who get the news, it's usually, doc wants you to come in for an appointment. Come in tomorrow or in a day or two. Yeah. But you got yours over the phone.
And to be told you have cancer over the phone and it's on a weekend. Wow. That really just, I had to wait for 2 days
to get an appointment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was
Tell us how it happened when you got the phone call.
Well, it was a Saturday, and my husband's sister, my sister-in-law, her bridal shower was that evening. Yeah. So we were at the shop.
What shop was that again?
Okay, Playboy shop.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Looking for some gag gifts.
Right.
So I had my two other sister-in-laws with me, and we were looking, and then my phone rang. So I answered it, and it was my doctor, and he goes, Miss Cruz. I said, yes, doctor. He goes, we got your results back. I said, oh, wonderful, And he goes, well, you have papillary thyroid carcinoma. And I was like, And I know what carcinoma was. I just didn't know what papillary thyroid.
Right.
Papillary, right. So I said, can you repeat that again? And I was inside the store, and he goes, can you repeat that again? He goes, you have papillary thyroid carcinoma. So I said, okay, well, one moment. I wanted to make sure I heard it right. So I walked out, and I asked him again, and he repeated it. He goes, and I will see you Monday. Click.
Wow. That was it.
Yeah. Straight out.
That was it. He didn't even say it's cancer.
No, he just said, okay, we'll see you first thing Monday morning. And I was like, in disbelief, because I was like, that's 2 days from now.
Yeah. That must have been kind of weird. You're here, you're getting ready for a bridal shower with your family and friends, and then you get this kind of news, and the way he delivers it, it's kind of, it almost has you thinking.
It's just terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd rather you look at me and tell me straight out with a little maybe compassion than to tell me over the phone, because then I'm like, wow, no compassion whatsoever. So it was really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cynthia, how about your experience when you found out?
Like I mentioned with Luis's story, when we did the first My Story, Dr. Castro, who is my hero, who saved, and found my cancer. The first thing he said was, I had an appointment that day, and he goes, Cynthia, you got cancer. I'm like, are you kidding me? He goes, Cyn, you got cancer, and then you, along with me, will have a plan. We go see Dr. Al. He's the #1 oncologist for radiation. And from there, he can determine whether or not, what's stage you are and what type of treatment you'll be getting. But what we were speaking of earlier, most doctors, their demeanor when they tell you you have cancer, it's not going to come out nice in a bed of flowers
Right,
and
right.
pretty roses and nice iced cake. You know, it's going to be straight up hardcore. You have cancer. Now, when you hear those words, you have cancer, how are you ready to prepare yourself? Yes, you can cry. I cried on my doctor's shoulders that day, and my son was parked in the car because he just got off work. He was super tired, and I asked him to drive me to that appointment. And all I could think of that day was crying. I cried on his shoulder for a minute. It felt like an hour. And then I told him thank you because I knew he had patients that were in the lobby waiting to see him. I couldn't spend the whole day crying on his shoulder because I got work to do.
Yeah.
So he said, Sin, with my plan and your plan, we can make this.
Yeah, we can beat
it's
this.
a survival rate. You can do nasopharyngeal carcinoma stage 3 was what I was diagnosed with from Dr. Al. And those are the stages. He couldn't catch it at stage 1 because you can't see it.
Yeah.
Can't,
And there's no
stage 2,
screening
yes,
for that kind of.
there's no screening.
Yeah.
You can't find cancer
Yeah.
if it's at that level.
Right.
But it was growing since the beginning, maybe 2013.
You know, it just came to me, you know, how I mentioned earlier about how these are warriors. We can make all the excuses about how it was told, but if you can make it through that, dealing with, let alone being told, you know, the time limit or this and that, however, from that step forward, it's a fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
That's
you
kind of
know,
like the first step is.
it's just the first step. So I'm, you know, how any doc would tell you. I mean, I'm not sure if I can handle that responsibility of looking at another person and say, you're sick, you know, and it's bad. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah.
But past that, it's what we have to go through after. So whether it's going to come with cookies and cake or just come with straight up,
Yeah.
it's the process after that we've gone through to make us who we are. So, you know, it was just small talking, but it's true.
Yeah.
Some of them are stone fools.
You get the news, but then eventually you work with your doctors.
Yes.
And they you know, they help you get through it. They tell you the plan, and then you guys do eventually. Yeah. It's just when you get the news, it's kind of like, you know,
Yes.
a shock.
It's shocking.
Yeah.
Just her through the phone and
Yeah.
with two days to deal with.
Yeah.
I mean, I can imagine what you were going through, you know,
It was horrible.
just to wait and find out more compared to you, where right then and there we'll set you
I
up here.
Googled it. I
Yeah.
Googled it the minute I found out.
Yeah.
What is this
Man,
about?
we all lucky you got Google and internet nowadays, you know. Back in the day. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got it.
You had
I
to go
still
to
can do that.
Check it out and use our card and to tell me what I
And
know.
then sometimes you don't even want to like take up too much of your doctor's time, so you
Yeah.
don't want to ask too many questions during your appointments.
Because we're going to be visiting each other
Right.
again and
Right.
again
Right.
and again.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much again for sharing your wonderful stories
Thank
with
you,
us.
Janela.
Funny personalities, great family. Thank you so much for joining us. And you're so cute. All right. Well, that about wraps up our show. My name is Janela Carrera, your host. Joining us again was Mr. Richard Duenas, Caroline Cruz, and Cynthia Kintle, survivors of cancer. So thank you once again.
You.